live.
We're live. Good morning, fantasy football fans. How's everybody on this Tuesday morning?
Doing good. Bright and
Doing
early.
real-
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Really,
Bright and early. Been a while. Been waiting to go over these questions with you guys.
yeah. I think James summed it up for us all three to be doing this again when he first got joined us this morning. What was it? Seems like forever.
Yeah,
it's been way too long.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's cool.
Any news you guys want to talk about? I really didn't go over anything last night. I had to go grocery shopping because Sunday was the 4th and I didn't go.
Yeah, no, I'll probably just sticking to what you had for us there.
Anything, James?
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready to hit the ground running.
You're ready to hit these?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to do, we have 3 positions, linebacker.
I thought we were going to hit on Frank Clark and Jalen Collins as your warm-up.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Here's my stuff. All right. So first we have Frank Clark. Arrested twice, March and June, both illegal gun charges. How does this affect his, I guess, he's not, in the top 10 or anything by any means, but how do you think this affects the team? What will happen with them?
Go ahead, James. I don't know what your thoughts are on Frank, but I got an idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll lead the way, which is Frank Clark is, from a fantasy perspective, not that great. From a Chiefs perspective, he's pretty integral in their defense. He's a big part of their pass rush. But on the fantasy side, he's very much kind of a guy who's there, who accumulates points from being there. I know he's probably getting a lot of double teams, relatively speaking, compared to the rest of that line. I know you got Chris Jones there too. Yeah. But with these gun charges, I'm going to just kind of pass on him. He's going to move to just, my last pick of the draft, maybe my wild card. Just I'll see if I can snag him if everyone else stays away. But, in general, you only score fantasy points when you're on the field. Frank Clark only scores fantasy points when the Chiefs have a big lead, which is most of the time. Right. But I just want to stay away. It's early in the offseason. It's very rare that you can draft somebody today and you already have a ton of gigantic risks. Everyone else is just blind optimism. And with Frank Clark, you're already going, things might work out poorly here. So why not just pass it and just let somebody else take the headache? So I'm out on him.
Yeah, I was already avoiding him in drafts. At his ADP, what people expect, he's never lived up to, for fantasy football purposes. Like you said, he's not what he's supposed to be. So, and now after 2 of these, 1 year here with being caught with a gun, he's probably, unless he's sitting there at the very end of a draft and I need a depth person, I'm not touching him. He might be gone for rest of the season, next season, who knows?
Right. I would think he's definitely getting suspended at first. I get. I mean, illegal gun charges twice. I don't think it can just be slid under the carpet.
Right.
He's good all year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I could stuff him on like an injured reserve or just out list while he's suspended, maybe I'll do that, depending on the size of my league. But for the most part, just don't touch him because you don't need to touch him.
Yeah. Right. Who's the other one? Who else we got? Let's roll.
Collins, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, he went and got pulled over doing 80
and
he
got
a 35
for
or
doing 76 and a 35, reckless driving. And as of, I was just reading, June 27th, Cardinals haven't spoke about it at all yet. Nobody spoke about it. So
no alcohol, no
nothing's came out like that. No, not yet.
Rookie mistake. Keep draft. It shouldn't really impact your drafting. He's a young guy. He just got a bunch of money. He probably went and bought a car, wanted to see what it did, made the stupid mistake of, doing it where he did. So yeah, I wouldn't. Nothing changes for me when it comes to his outlook.
Yeah, completely agree. His outlook fantasy-wise, short-term and long-term is going to stay the same. I don't think he's getting suspended for speeding too fast. That's not something the NFL usually hits you on, so I'm not expecting that. That said, he's a rookie, so I don't love him at all. So
Right.
if you want to knock him and bring him down to where I have him, that's fine by me.
Yeah. Well, if you already had him, just don't worry about it. He'll be all right. And if he gets in trouble again,
Start to
might want
worry.
to kind of think about that in a dynasty league or something. But yeah, all right. So
Right. All right.
rolling.
So that's all we have for news stories this morning. Then I have 3 positions, so we'll do one from each position. I don't want to do just like all linebackers at once, and then so we'll do 1 linebacker, 1 edge, 1 safety.
Sweet.
Cool. And the scoring is a little weird. I went off of I think it was ESPN's IDP scoring. Do you guys remember it?
Their default.
Yeah, I remember it. It was a little wonky, but it was
different.
also still relatively standard, so it wasn't kind of out of the ordinary in other than just a little bit more for some things, a little bit less for others, but nothing to make you wildly change your ranks.
Right. All right, so for my first one, we are going to do linebackers. And you have to pick from Blake Martinez, Jalen Smith, or Fred Warner. And James, you go first.
Yeah, for me, it's relatively easy. I like Jalen Smith. I know a lot of people, with the way that Dallas has had their offseason, are tending to say, ooh, Jalen Smith, I don't like where this is going. They drafted, they did well. They're bringing in people. They got Keanu Neal. And it just seems to be he's got a little bit of get out of my top half of my linebackers vibe going.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that's all smoke and mirrors. I think Jalen Smith's still going to be out there, still just going to be getting a lot of that production by default, you could say, or that production by actual skill. Either way, he's going to be producing, and I'll take him. Blake Martinez is right behind him, so that is kind of tough. But I've got them in a kind of a tier ahead of Fred Warner. I don't love Fred Warner. I think Fred Warner is a very solid, nice, serviceable hand, but not someone who's got that kind of high-end ceiling like I think Smith and Martinez have. So give me Smith, but it's close.
Yeah, it's like you was watching Friday's episode when we had Tripp and Craig on, because what your explanation when we had Jalen Smith pop up, exactly the same. I love Jalen Smith. There's no reason for me not to think that he's not going to be that guy again. Everybody talked about him last year. Van Der Esch coming back. He keeps making the tackles. That's what we want in IDP. So and I'm going Martinez if I was going to go to anybody else. Consistency, he's still a young dude. Fred Warner still has just a touch more to prove. We got to see it another year. Give me Jalen off the top.
Some people have him, and that's the only reason I have him in here. Your guys' lists everybody's are different. And this one, I just saw him up within the top 4 or 5 of these guys where I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm going to put him in, and see what these guys, So in our next question, when we do linebackers again, includes him too, because I've found other people where I'm like, well, what if it's these people though?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, he's slipping in general, and I think he's slipping just because people are trying to find a reason to dock him because there's other talent coming in, and I just kind of think it's a lot of motion that doesn't need to happen. The motion is with Van Der Esch. He's the one who looks like he's the odd man out, and not Smith. And they're not redoing that entire defense. So they're not switching out every single body back there. Smith's still just gonna produce. He's not going to be super flashy, but it doesn't matter if he's super flashy or super amazing on the actual field. As long as he produces for your fantasy team, that's all you care about.
Right. That's a great point. I think some people tend to forget that sometimes. When it comes to fantasy football.
They definitely do.
They definitely do. We're moving to edge, and these are good ones. You guys have to decide. Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, or Cameron Jordan?
I guess we can lead off with Gary since I took the lead on the last
one. Sorry, Gary, go.
Well, I'm probably if I'm looking at consistency, if I want to swing for the fence, I think I would probably still stick with Joey and hope that he has a good season. But I think my safe one would be Cameron Jordan. I think I can get, at worst, I feel like Cameron Jordan's going to play the entire season. So I got the better shot that he's going to get me some low edge rusher numbers.
Right.
So yeah, Nick and Joey just, I don't know, man. Joey's wore out. So Nick's got a lot to prove too still. So yeah, give me Cameron Jordan.
Right.
Yeah, give me Nick just ahead of Joey. It's splitting hairs almost, and they both kind of have the same issue, which is, are they going to be healthy? Like Gary mentioned, and they both might not be healthy. They both might get hurt again. That happens a lot in fantasy football, but also it happens a lot where the healthy guy the unhealthy guy gets healthy and suddenly puts up that season that everyone's thinking, oh, they finally could do it. And, are they going to do it 6 years in a row? Unlikely, but I'm going to take the guys who currently have a clean bill of health over the guy who just is likely to stay healthy. Cameron Jordan's old and basically probably washed up at this point. He's going to be there and he's going to be on the field because the Saints don't have anyone else. But I'm not going to invest in him as anything more than just a bye week play. So I'm going to be a matchup play. I don't think he's anywhere near the tier of the Bosa brothers, and that's including the Bosa brothers' injury history. So give me Nick over Joey, but I'm not touching Cameron Jordan anywhere close to where they are.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't like when Nick and Joey are together like that. That's why I wanted you guys to have a question like that.
Yeah, if I'm going between the two of them,
right.
I'm going Joey just because he's been doing it longer.
Right. If we want to split hairs here, that was a question there that I thought was a good one where we're like, that one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult to split up the Bosas. They seem to always just kind of go together.
Right.
And Nick is basically younger Joey. And you're asking yourself, whoa, is Nick on his way to having his elite season? Or is Joey more likely to repeat his elite season? So
that built really is what boiled down for me was looking at it as a, ceiling versus consistency. We know consistency wins. You got to have it. I love that. I would like to think that both Bosas would have a higher ceiling than Cameron Jordan, but when you put these three on there, right. I want that consistency. I want that guy to be there every week, pulling me in 6 to 7 points consistently, and not worry about not having at this ADP. These guys are going to be high ADP, and I have Cameron Jordan below there, but this is just my preference. There's no. I'm not going to throw out a bunch of stats, numbers, or anything. And this is completely opinion. I'm going with consistency. I almost was thinking maybe I'm going to talk myself out of with ceiling, but give me Jordan. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't want any of the three on my roster, kind of for exactly what Gary said.
Right.
Is that I want that consistency, and I know at the ADP of both of the Bosas, I'm playing with fire right there, so I'd rather just go someone else. But when those are my three options, I'm not taking Cameron Jordan that high. It's just not a possibility for me. So let me flip my coin. Let me go Joey or Nick. Give me the younger one. Give me the one who's, in theory, got more playing time due to his youth and his age. And let's see what happens.
I know
in all likelihood, all three of them are not touching my team.
I know that we're stuck on this one. We're not going to get as many done as we like, but I love it that we stopped here because I've thought of this before when we played this game. All right. So me personally, if these three were on the board and I'm looking at edge rusher and I know that I'm going to take Cameron Jordan, and what you just brought up, we've been talking about ADP. We know Nick Bosa, the Bosa brothers are that tier higher. I probably, if this was what I was looking at, my next defensive line, or my next thing was defensive line, edge rusher, and that's what I was looking at, I'd probably stop right here and go look at other positions just to see what would be better, because I can come back next round and get Cameron Jordan. You know what I mean? It's either take the Bosas now or wait on Cameron Jordan. So that's another strategy. And I'm not, when I say I'm taking Cameron Jordan, it's not in the same round that I would reach for Bosas.
Right.
So so that people understand this.
That's a perfect way to look at it, because if I'm sitting in a draft and these are the top 3 guys on my board, I'm going to address some other position, come back, and maybe all 3 are gone,
Right.
but I'll take who's ever in the next tier, because I don't
Hell,
want
run
to
over
be
and
taking
go
this
get you
tier
some
at what their
offensive
ADP
depth.
is.
You know, if you don't necessarily even have to do your IDP, if you don't have to go get you your third, fourth running back, wide receiver depth. You know, there's going to be a lot of meat left on that IDP bone if these guys are still on the board at that time. So, sweet.
All right, then we move on to safety, and we have Jeremy Chin, Jordan Poyer, or Antoine Winfield Jr.
You were killing these here, Roxanne. You're not bullshitting when you brought these. This has been great last week. So, but I missed it. How'd your internet thing work out, man? Did it just come back on?
Yeah, there was the big heat wave over here in the Pacific Northwest, and I think we had a little bit of rolling power outs. So it was just gone in the morning when I got home from work.
That'd be weird to live with. All right, so I don't want to change subject, folks, but and I'm glad we saved these like you was talking about, Roxanne. These were good for both me and him. I don't know about you, but I'm probably going to go the opposite a little bit here, because I think that Jeremy Chin is secure enough, and I think I might swing for Jeremy Chin here. Just barely over Poyer.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty easily Jeremy Chin. I'm also living in that sleeper world where I've got some linebacker eligibility to go along with that safety eligibility, and give me that flexibility. Let me slide him in on bye weeks. Give me that. That's any kind of tiebreaker if I was close on these other 2. Poyer, I'm afraid that every year is going to be the final year of Poyer, and he's going to be too old and a step slow, and he's just going to be gone and replaced. So he doesn't come close to meeting the expected value of Chin and Winfield. And while Winfield's great, I just give me Chin. I'm expecting him to do everything, whereas I'm expecting Winfield to have some slow games, because they're just kicking so much ass that he doesn't do much out there. So give me Chin. I'm expecting all the consistency in the world. He's got flexibility. He's a beautiful looking fantasy player going forward, and he's someone who I'm not waiting until next round to draft. Give me him right now.
Yeah, I could probably. I don't know. I mean, Poyer was tougher for me to not take. I'm going to go right back to Jalen Smith. Poyer's been getting it done, and until he doesn't, I mean, he's been getting it done at a high level. He's never. That's the funny thing. I don't know if it's because of his age, a slow start, because the first part of his career he didn't do anything until he did go to Buffalo, but I mean, he's been racking it up. So I'm going to ride that train, even if I only have the possibility of a year or 2 of it, but not next to Jeremy Chin. Double designation, all that, he's going to be there. He's definitely, it's worth seeing. He's got top 5 potential, especially at the DB position, so. All right, we're rolling.
All right. I like those answers. We're going back to linebacker. And we have Fred Warner again, Zach Cunningham, and Deion Jones. So we're in another tier now.
Go ahead, James. Knock her out.
I'll lead on this one, and it's kind of the same answer as the last one, which is Fred Warner's a little bit below everyone else. I like Cunningham just barely over Jones. In my dynasty rankings, they're one after another. And in my redraft rankings, which I don't have updated, they're probably still going to be one right after the other. I like them about equally, but give me that production by default that Zach Cunningham has. He's going to get so much volume when the Texans are losing, and they're just going to be running hard.
I guess you got it right there, don't you? Because you did say Texas are going to be losing, and Atlanta could win some ball games. So they can get some leads. So
they'll compete in some ball games, but they never win.
Yeah, that's a splitting hair thing that people really got to apply sometimes, and it really helps to know your offense.
Right.
Exactly. I think the difference between Jones and Cunningham is so close, but when I'm looking at how a team's going to perform and therefore how my IDP is going to perform, I think Cunningham just has a safer floor because he's just going to get volume when they're losing. And
Mhm.
in a world where the Texans suddenly eke out 7 or 8 wins and are in a lot of ball games, well, I'm wrong, but that's not a likely scenario. So just give me Cunningham. Let me take my points this year and win my league. That's what I want to do.
Right. That's what we're here for.
Yep. I have no argument, disagreement there. Same. Give me
taking Zach
Cunningham
Cunningham
just by hair.
And Fred Warner's out.
Yeah, not yet. I can just. I like Fred. I think he'll have a good season, but you got him in there with this. These are tough.
Right. All right. Our next edge is going to be Chase Young, Zadarius Smith, or Leonard Floyd. And I'd have a hard time on this one.
I mean, here we go with that consistency again. Well, I love Chase Young, but I'm going Smith. He's getting it done up there. They've improved the line a little bit, yet, not really. But he's getting it done. I'm going with Smith. I want to say Young. Who wouldn't want to say Young?
Right.
But let me give me a full season of Chase Young and give me that top 5, top 10. Then I'll decide next time I got to pick.
You're too safe, Gary. You pick too safe.
Well, consistency matters. That's why, and me and James both subscribe to the same book when it comes to rookies. Rookies are a luxury. If they work out, don't get all hyped up. But when you're talking in season, I don't think that people realize consistency matters a lot. So, and there's no wrong answer between anybody out here with that opinion, but that consistency can matter. It's a lot of times it'll split a hair for me if it's a personal, and I'm talking from a personal aspect of who I draft. So most of the time, this is funny. If I get a DM from somebody, it'll say, okay, Chase Young or Zadarius Smith, who you taking? And I'll take Smith. But then they start giving me all these reasons why I should be saying Young. And I'm like, hey, look, you asked.
You play who you want.
Yeah, you're not talking me into it. You're convincing me, you're convincing yourself. And I get a kick out of that. I don't get upset. A long time ago, it was like, oh, damn, so excuse my language. It was like, man, you want to argue after asking me? But that's not what people are doing. They're talking it out amongst their own head. And they want to see what you're going to say. So
Right. They want a different opinion than their own, is what it is.
I'd love to say Young, but this year, right now, I'd take Smith. And I could probably get Smith at least a round later. So
why no Floyd at all? Why aren't you considering Leonard Floyd at all?
He's not been the guy. He did good last year, but who wouldn't play next to Aaron Donald? Let's see it. I don't think his ceiling's there. I just a little bit more consistency.
Right.
I don't know, but he's just. I could get him down another 4 rounds, probably.
Dang.
Yeah,
probably.
I agree that you could get Leonard Floyd another 4 rounds later, which is why he's kind of tempting if you're just looking at these ADPs and going with it. But if you're just looking at overall talent and expected production, I will be the one who takes Chase Young. I'm not going to pass on him for Zadarius Smith.
Hell no.
I agree with everything that Gary's saying, which is consistency matters the most in fantasy sports. If you've got an edge rusher who goes 3 points, 1 point, 2 points, 27 points, 3 points, 1 point, that's not a very good edge rusher, even though his overall scores 5 points a game.
Right.
He's still bad because you can't rely on him week to week.
And
we had that happen last year. Aaron Donald flopped like four or 5 weeks, maybe more. And I mean, there's your number one. I mean, DeForest Buckner actually, in my opinion, passed Aaron Donald last year as one of the best interior defensive linemen. In my head, Donald's getting older, but I don't expect that to happen as much this year with him. And I can tell you from doing the start-sit charts, that's why when I do my start-sit charts, members really like them, because I can pick out 9 times out of 10 if Aaron Donald had a bad matchup and he's going to have a flop, I'm going to have a warning on those charts. He's going to be knocked down. He's not going to be a 5-star start, and I'm going to have an explanation there. Hey, look, this is why don't start him. And usually it pays off. I mean, the odds hit pretty often. So it's one of those things. I can't blame you for Young. I mean, how can't you? The ceiling, and technically on paper, he should be a top 5.
Right.
There's no way. That defensive line around him is just gold. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly,
all
and
on
that's
Washington's defense this year. I think they could be definitely in the top 5, no problem.
and that's why I can't just pass on him. He's just the.
Right.
I agree that if you're looking at last year's stat lines, I think I want Zadarius Smith over Chase Young. Give me that weekly production over Chase Young's kind of high ceiling, low floor aspect. But moving 1 year ahead, I think Chase Young can hop into that Myles Garrett territory of just giving me high production week after week after week, and then maybe one dud, and then back to that high ceiling production. So I'm all aboard the Chase Young train. I think that he's got amazing potential, and give me that potential with potential inconsistencies when you've got Zadarius Young as my other option and Leonard Floyd as my other option. To me, they're nowhere close to what Young's at, and I get that we have the option of just passing on Chase Young, coming back to Zadarius Smith a round later, or coming back to Leonard Floyd 4 rounds later, but I'm not going to pass on Chase Young.
Right. You'd have to have a – right.
I agree.
Hell yeah. Well, we're rolled pretty well. We got time for one more, Roxanne.
Okay,
what do you think?
I got a safety. I only did 2 safeties, so we'll just finish out the safeties real quick. We have Justin Simmons, John Johnson, or Kevin Bayard. And Gary, you go first.
I'm a huge John Johnson fan. He was one of my breakout calls when he first got drafted. But I'm not passing him. I'm not passing him up for Justin Simmons. I love Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons has showed the whole defense around him in Denver is built around the safeties. So, and Justin Simmons is the number 1 safety there. So I love John Johnson. I think he'll be really good in Cleveland too. But it's Simmons. I love Baird too, but I mean he's been a little bit inconsistent over his career because he needs flash plays, he needs interceptions, he needs passes, a lot of passes defended and stuff like that. He did bounce back and have a nice tackle ceiling last year. Go ahead, give me Justin Simmons.
Yeah, I'm going to take John Johnson. Probably my Browns homer fan in me coming out.
Probably.
I had a feeling you were going to pick him.
I see him as being slightly ahead of Justin Simmons. I think that his consistency is going to carry over to the Browns. I know he's had some injury bugs, but when he's not hurt, he's performing on the fantasy field and performing on the NFL field. And I'm expecting him to lead the way for the Browns. He's going to be kind of an excellent fantasy play in my eyes. So I really want him on my roster. I love his solid production.
One question for you. Yeah. You don't think that – what do you think the odds are how the Browns run the defense and how they're kind of spotty on usage of some of these players? You think that's over with? They're bringing John Johnson in. He's going to be on the field every down.
I'm predicting spotty usage throughout the entire secondary outside of Johnson and Denzel Ward. So I think we're going to see Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, everyone else see the spotty usage. And I think Johnson's going to be that every down, quote unquote, defensive leader back there who's going to be running the defense.
Yeah. Right.
So I think he's going to be the guy directing the secondary. Ward's going to be directing the cornerbacks, and he's just going to get you that production. And he's not going to have that game where he goes off like we're going to see Greedy Williams or we're going to see Grant Delpit to go. Mm-hmm. I think he's just going to be that beautiful, beautiful player in fantasy football where he just never does bad. And you're always I can plug him in and I'm going to get my production, which is kind of a rarity, especially in the secondary. So I'm really all about him, even though I think his final end-year tally might not be up there with some guys. His production will make him well worth that.
Yep. No argument here.
That's who I'd definitely be taking just because I know if I was in that situation and I got in James' head where we going, and it's definitely there. There wouldn't even be a question. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to see.
I don't think you're really going to go wrong overall with out of those three. It depends on Baird, though. It's hard for him, but I don't think that you're definitely looking at three top 15 DBs there. Either way this rolls.
Right.
This rolls. Yep.
Do you guys want to do one more? Or are we wrapping it up?
One more?
I'm good with another one.
All right, let's do this edge one because I think these are good names that you guys, I think it'll be good. We have Jason Pierre-Paul, Hassan Reddick, or Bud Dupree.
I'm going to go right back. I love Reddick over there. I just don't have no idea if he's going to be playing off the end for sure, if he's just going to be a strong side linebacker, getting to play off the end at times. Dupree, I like him. Just give me the old man with three fingers on one hand. Give me Pierre-Paul for another year. He keeps getting it done. I know he's older, but out of those three, I think if it was a dynasty, I'd probably reach for Reddick. But thinking basic the production for this season, just give me Pierre-Paul consistency.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go Reddick specifically for kind of the reasons Gary said. I'm just going to disagree with why he selected Pierre-Paul. I think Tampa Bay is going to be just kind of mashing people, and outside of a giant Tom Brady collapse, which you just can't predict.
Hey, calm down. Don't be talking like that.
I don't think it's going to happen, and I think they're just going to be crushing people. And I think Pierre-Paul is not going to have that fantasy production because he's not going to be on the field that much because they're going to be resting him and saving him for the playoffs.
So you expect an even bigger jump for Tampa Bay's offense?
I am, and I'm expecting that defense to just roll people to the point where I don't think Pierre-Paul is going to be playing all that much because they don't need to play him, and they're going to want to save him. Mm-hmm. So give me Reddick. Give me the guy who needs to come out and show the world that he's worth his value. Give me the fact that he can bust pretty heavily, and give me that inconsistency that is possible at that position. Because that ceiling, I think, is higher than what Pierre-Paul has to offer. So give me Reddick, and I don't think
you realize how the risk that's there on Reddick, because 9 times, this is no lie, if we look back at these people, look at Campbell coming out of Atlanta. It happens to a lot of these guys. They work their ass off. They finally get in a contract year. They do well. They go somewhere, or they get paid by their own team. Nothing. They never repeat what they did before. So you are taking that risk over the possibility of the consistency. And I can't blame you because just by tackle alone, he should, if he's playing an every down, surely they're going to give him an every down job. So his ceiling for tackle base, if he's actually a stand-up linebacker in most cases, should be around that 60 combined. And then if he hits double digits in sacks, I mean that's definitely that's mouth watering. So I respect that, going for it. And that if these three were the ones on the board, that definitely is a home run swing, and that's good. I like that.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to note that at this point, at this draft level, at this ADP,
right,
this is where you kind of want to swing for a home run.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rest of your roster complexion matters a ton. Have I already taken another D lineman, guy, who I think is going to be very consistent? Or have I already taken a home run swing, and do I have one of those Bosa's on my roster?
Hopefully these aren't your first option for your edge rusher deals. Right. These should be like your second, third, maybe, a little later.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. And if I swing and I miss, and, Reddick does not match the production he had last year, and is that free agent bust, I can cut him and go, whoops, missed there, and not go, wow, I lost a big star here, someone I drafted early. So to me, this is an area in your draft where you want to take a swing, and if you miss, you miss. I totally understand Gary's point where he goes, just give me Pierre-Paul and that consistency. Because likewise, if you have a third D lineman, your second D lineman, who can just produce at a John Johnson-like level of just consistency after consistency after consistency, well, then you've also hit a huge home run. because you can just rotate that person in on an injury. You
Yeah.
can rotate that person in when they just are performing better than the first guy who's going through a bad swing. So you can look at it from both perspectives. And with these three, give me Reddick, give me that potential giant leap. And if I fail and I miss, I cut him and I go add somebody in week 3.
Yeah, and I mean that's perfectly that's my instinct to go that way. And I got to admit, I mean it does put me in a corner sometimes by getting stuck on that consistency. So there's times to apply it harder than other times. And you're probably right. This probably wasn't a good time for me to do that, because looking at the players where they would be, and hopefully by now I've already got me a Myles Garrett as my starter and anchoring a Buckner in there. So yeah, you can pitch and tell yourself.
And I do just kind of want to mention, when we're going through these and we're just listing 3 names and picking some, look what me and Gary are doing. We're not just picking one out of the 3. We're thinking about the rest of our team that doesn't exist.
Right.
We're going, what lineman is this guy? What linebacker is this guy? What DB is this guy? Where does he fit in? Is he going to be on my bench? Is he not? We're asking so many more questions than just pick one of these 3. Right. And that's the overall point of this exercise, is where am I in my draft? How have I done? Has my target not made it? Do I need to find the consistency? Can I take a leap? And yes, every draft is going to be different. The team you draft will be unique to you and you alone. There's no clone of your league where everyone went, but you have to think about everything else. Everything intertwines and connects. Absolutely. The greatness of fantasy football in that everyone plays the same game, but everyone also plays a different game. Right. So think about that as you're listening to this and you're going over this and you're agreeing or disagreeing with us. Just make sure that you're also thinking about everything we're thinking about. You don't have to follow our logic, but you just got to have those thoughts.
Great way to wrap that up there.
Right. I love it. First, make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get our draft guide at gridironratings.com. For every 25 subscribers, we are giving away 1 free draft guide still, right?
Go subscribe, people. Help us out on YouTube.
There we go. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys Friday morning. Great stuff.
Bye.